Samantha's godfather, Sam Lucanti, Metal's father, he's about 80, 81 years old. Willie is his wife's name. He's got a daughter named Lisa and a brother Philip. Philip's being close to your age. Birthday Jewel Creators. Loconti. No, no. He was L.A. No, Mike Lucanti. No, this guy was at the racetrack. He did vending machines for a while and stuff like that. That's probably how I know. Yeah, he was at the track for like 3 years. For years. That's why that name sounds familiar. Yeah. I'll show you a picture. You guys. Yeah. He knew everybody, this guy.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zara?
Here.
Trustee Council?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Stewart?
Here.
Trustee Caputo?
Here.
President DeCipio?
Here.
A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. First on the agenda is recognition of the Grange Park Police Department by Indian Head Park Police Chief Matt Walsh. We are so privileged to have Chief with us tonight, so I'll turn it over to our Chief. Chief Walsh, go ahead.
We good? I can yell. There we go. Yeah, again, my name's Matthew Walsh. I'm the Chief of Police for the Village of Indian Head Park. I'm here tonight because I want to recognize the LaGrange Park Police Department for the excellent service and professionalism they provided to us for an incident that we had in our village on August 28, 2024. Our victim was trying to sell something over Facebook Marketplace, and 2 offenders showed up as supposed buyers, but they had no intention to buy. They both brandished handguns, and the victim was shot in the upper right leg. We put a broadcast out to the nearby police departments, and a short time later, LaGrange Park stopped the vehicle, recovered the handgun. The sergeant notified us. We went out and made a positive identification. Subject was placed into custody. State's attorney was notified, and at that point gave us a list of things that we needed to get done in order to get charging. LaGrange Park assisted us with the lineup, with downloading body-worn cameras, and all kinds of technological issues in order to get these charges done. Once the ballistics came back and it positively put the firearm as the offending firearm, it was the one that was used in the shooting, the state's attorney then came out and approved charges for armed robbery and aggravated battery with a firearm. This was all due to the assistance provided by LaGrange Park PD. I felt it important enough to come out here and thank the whole police department as a whole and some of the individual officers for their role. So Chief Contoy. This reads, Indian Head Park Police Department Award of Excellence is hereby granted to Chief Timothy Contoy and members of the LaGrange Park Police Department for their professionalism and exemplary police work while assisting the Indian Head Park Police Department in securing charges of armed robbery and aggravated battery with a firearm for the incident that occurred on August 28, 2024. I can't thank you enough. Sergeant Timothy Griffin. The Indian Head Park Police Department Award of Excellence is hereby granted to Sergeant Timothy Griffin for his assistance to the Indian Head Park Police Department involving the incident that occurred on August 28, 2024. Charges of armed robbery, aggravated battery with a firearm were approved as a direct result of your exemplary police work. You are truly a credit to your department and to law enforcement. Thank you. Is Sergeant Rentz here? No. Okay. They read the same, but I'd just like to have them all, who's ever here to recognize. Detective Nick Spurgash. We were just talking, we went to the same grammar school. I was a little bit before him, perhaps, but yeah. But this is here, the Indian Head Park Police Department Award of Excellence is hereby granted to Detective Nick Spurgash for his assistance to the Indian Head Park Police Department involving the incident that occurred on August 28, 2024. Charges of armed robbery and aggravated battery with a firearm were approved as a direct result of your exemplary police work. You are truly a credit to your department and to law enforcement. And I know you were responsible for helping with the lineup, so thank you. Escamilla's not here? Okay. Officer Blake Patchett. Blake's the one who made the traffic stop, recovered the weapon. Excellent job. Indian Head Park Police Department Award of Excellence, it's going to sound kind of redundant this one, is hereby granted to Officer Blake Patchett for his assistance to the Indian Head Park Police Department involving the incident that occurred on August 28, 2024. Charges of armed robbery and aggravated battery with a firearm were approved as a direct result of your exemplary police work. You are truly a credit to your department and to law enforcement. The one that got the ball rolling. Again, thank you for letting me take some of your time. The work that they've done was actually outstanding, and it brought this to a successful conclusion. So thanks again. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Chief Walsh, before you go, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the board, staff, our residents for coming forward tonight and presenting our officers with this extreme honor that you bestowed upon us. I mean, it's humbling to have you here because we know what all our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, your police officers, you put your lives on the line every day for our safety. So to have you come here personally and recognize our officers for the great work that they do is very humbling, and I want to thank you on behalf of everyone.
You know what? I have to. The work that they did was phenomenal. We would not have gotten to where we are now without the assistance. So, again, thanks again.
Okay, next up, we have the swearing in of paid on-call firefighters Emma Ellison, Daniel Griffin, Alex Kiesling, and Christian Kiesling. The following paid on-call firefighters have successfully completed their probationary period requirements. During their probationary period, each has completed the Basic Operations Fire Academy, becoming state certified firefighters, and also completed emergency medical services training and are licensed EMTBs. They've also been tested on general knowledge of policies, standard operating guidelines, of apparatus and equipment, and have passed the practical driving and pumping tests for our fire apparatus. Alex Kiesling began as a candidate with our department on January 4th of 2023 and completed his probationary period on December 4th, 2024. Alex lives with his brother on Beach Avenue in our village. Christian Kiesling also began as a candidate with our department on January 4th of 2023 and also completed his probationary period on December 4th of 2024. Christian is the brother of Alex and, as noted, lives on Beach Avenue. Emma Ellison began as a candidate with our department on January 10th, 2024 and completed her probationary period on January 13th, 2025. Emma lives with her family on Kemen Avenue in our village. Daniel Griffin also began as a candidate with our department on January 10th, 2024, and also completed his probationary period on January 13th, 2025. Dan lives with his wife and children in the village of Grange Park. Chief, will you do the honors, please?
All right, the first thing I'd like to do is for the four personnel coming off probation, if you can come on up over here. Then maybe just stand here and smile at your friends. No. Great. Before we start off, just wanted to say a few words. We've said this many times before. It takes a lot of work to get to this point, and it takes a lot of work by our personnel to get through the training, especially when they have other things going on in their lives. Our department obviously operates as a predominantly paid-on-call department, so this job is usually not their primary job. They may have a full-time career, they may be in school, they may have other obligations with the family and such. And so to get to this point and then stay at this level and stay with our department is a rather large undertaking. I do want to say a few things. All these firefighters were hired in the last 4 years, and shortly after becoming hired, they had to start in the fire academy. And based on our organizational structure, almost all of them attended firefighting academy on nights and weekends. And in many cases, they would have to go to school 2 days a week or 2 evenings a week and on the weekend for over 4 months, close to 5 months. So a lot of their dedication, and it continues today, is pretty intense. Their time dedication and their studying dedication. Obviously, they also have other things going on in their life. Whether it's a career, like I said, whether it's schooling, ongoing schooling, other jobs that they may have, it is a rather large commitment. During that time, after they finish their first modules in the fire academy, they have to start coming to our regular trainings, which are either Monday nights or Tuesday mornings. They have to maintain that. Then they usually go to EMT school if they're not EMTs already, and that continues throughout the year after the fire academy. And they also have to come back for calls, and they're supposed to maintain a call percentage so that they stay active and they're actually helping our organization. Again, it is a big commitment, and they should all be commended for getting to this point. Tonight is a very big step in your career here. You've completed all the initial training, although, there's a lot ahead of you. Every day, as we've talked about in the fire service, is a learning experience. There will be challenges that come about, whether new careers, whether additional family, maybe for some of you marriage, maybe kids. Dan already, as you may know, already has children and a wife. Not to mention he's also in the military. So there are a lot of commitments that go on and will continue, they will be faced with throughout the coming years just to be able to stay and contribute to our department. Again, I'm just trying to stress that it is not an easy job, even though it's considered part-time. Down the road, hey, they'll probably take on leadership. After tonight, they probably take on leadership. Teaching the newer personnel. We have 6 personnel that are in the fire academy that started tonight. We have a handful of others that still have to finish their probation and are still finishing training requirements. So everybody is part of that training and can lend a hand to teaching. That's basically, I know I babbled a little bit. That's basically it. But again, a huge commitment, a great undertaking. Well appreciated, I think, by the residents in the village overall for their dedication to make our department work the way it does and to contribute to helping, in many cases, save lives or help with protecting property within our village. So again, tonight is a big step, and congratulations. What we want to do next is we're going to have the village clerk come down, and she is going to administer the oath of office.
I state your name. Hereby do solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Illinois and I will faithfully carry out all the duties imposed upon and entrusted in me as a firefighter of the Village of Grange Park, Cook County, Illinois. Congratulations.
All right, the next part of our formalities here tonight is going to be the badge pinning ceremony, and it's kind of a big event in the fire service to actually get your badge when you complete your probation requirements. You are no longer a probationary firefighter, you are a firefighter in all cases, EMTs. What I'm going to do first, though, before we have any family come up, if we could go down the line here and just introduce family or friends that might be here tonight. Start with Dan.
My wife, Bethany Griffin, and then I have 2 of my 3 sons, Emmett and Eamon. And I just want to thank Bethany because our 3rd son that she had while I was in the academy is at home with Grandma and Grandpa. So thank you to Beth.
And then Alex.
My name is Alex. I got my mom and dad right there, my girlfriend there, Nancy, and my brother Chris here with me as well.
Anybody else you'd like to introduce?
I've got my family here and my girlfriend Margaret. My name is Christian. Yep.
Thank you. And then Emma.
I have my brother, my mom, my dad, and my grandparents, and then my best friend, Lauren.
All right. As you can imagine, the family behind you is absolutely critical here, especially with the time commitments that these personnel will have to put in, the support on some of the things they may see or talk about that, you know, they'll face in their job. It's important that the family is there behind them, and it's well appreciated by the village that you are here for them and that you allow them to help the village, because we know that is also a commitment on the family's behalf. So thank you. What we'll do now is we'll do the pinning ceremony. We'll start with Dan, and if you want to bring somebody up.
I'm going to bring Beth.
Hi guys, how you doing? You guys want to hold this before we put it on? You gotta be careful, it's sharp in the back. Someone's gonna put that on your dad. Who's gonna do that? All right. Great job. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for coming up. Thank you. Alex.
Mama, would you come up?
Great. I'm going to be the guy who has the problem. We'll come back to that. Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you, Dan.
Just put it right here where the hole is.
Great. Congratulations.
I'm going to have my mom come up.
Thank you. I'm going to have my mom and my girlfriend, Margaret, come up. Sorry.
You could push it really hard, remind him how he got there. You know. Great. Once again, we thank you and we thank the family and then everyone else who came out to see you tonight. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chief.
Good luck. If you guys want to just wander by, you could shake hands.
Congrats and thanks. 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 Kristen, thank you.
So firefighters Alex, Christian, Emma, and Dan, I want you guys to look behind you and see your colleagues back there. That's your extended family, and this is what it's all about. So on behalf of them, the board, our residents, and our staff, I want to thank you for your commitment to our community. We wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, and we're here to help you if we can ever do anything to make your job easier. Thank you.
If I could just say one more thing that I forgot. Obviously, Christian and Alex, if you haven't realized, are brothers. But Emma's sister has joined our department, and she is in the fire academy tonight. She got hired this month. So congratulations.
Do you guys want to stay? The folder. The folder. The folder. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have public participation of agenda-related items only. If anyone would care to address the board. Mr. Gazowski, did you care to address the board or not? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Megan?
Thank you, Mr. President. The item on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes. 1, Village Board meeting, November 26, 2024. 2, Village Board closed session, November 26, 2024. 3, Village Board meeting, December 10th, 2024. 4, Village Board closed session, December 10th, 2024. 5, Village Board work session meeting, January 14th, 2025. B, action, new ambulance purchase, motion to approve a resolution waiving the competitive bid process and authorizing the approval and execution of a vendor contract with Foster Coach Sales, Inc. of Sterling, Illinois for the purchase of a 2025 Ford Horton Type 1 ambulance through the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative and authorizing the expenditure of village funds in an amount of $371,557 to pay for the ambulance. C, action, accounts payable and payroll summary, motion 1, to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. And motion 2, to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and the next village board meeting with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its next meeting.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Moving on, we have village manager report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Next is administration committee. Trustee Council?
Thank you, President DeCipio. It would be nice if it would open for me. Thank you. Tonight, we are approving office furniture and equipment. The background on this is the Village of Grange Park purchased office furniture and equipment from Villa Park Office Equipment associated with Village Hall improvements as included in the fiscal year 24-25 budget. While these purchases were made separately by each department, the total purchase price collectively exceeds the village manager's authorization limit of $20,000 due to all purchases being from the same vendor, Villa Park Office Equipment. The upgraded furniture significantly improves the functionality, efficiency, and aesthetics of village workspaces across several departments located at Village Hall. Outdated and deteriorating furniture, some of which was secondhand and over 40 years old, was replaced with modern and ergonomic equipment, including height-adjustable sit-stand desks, which promote workplace wellness and enhance employee health and productivity. These furniture upgrades also address storage needs and create more open and efficient office layouts. For the administration and the finance department, a combination of new and refurbished furniture enhances workspace functionality in the front desk area and other shared office spaces. The Village Hall conference room now temporarily accommodates 4 employees: the communications specialist, the senior planner, the finance accountant, and a contracted accountant, allowing them to collaborate more effectively near their respective departments. Additionally, the streamlined and cohesive furniture in the building service coordinator's office supports workflow efficiency for the entire department. In the police department, the new furniture was added to the communications room and records clerk area to maximize space utilization and improve workflow for front desk service and police operations. Fire department upgrades allowed for an additional workstation for the new administrative assistant. Overall, these changes enhance operational capacity and reflect the village's commitment to a productive and functional work environment. Recommendation: staff recommends that the village board approve the attached resolution to ratify the furniture and equipment purchase from Villa Park Office Equipment is included in the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. Additionally, staff recommends consideration and approval of the following additional furniture purchases to continue reorganization efforts. Number 1, administration office. The attached quote dated January 20th, 2025 and issued by Villa Park Office Equipment for approximately $8,000 includes a new desk solution for the village manager's office, refurbished cabinets for central files and human resources files, and a small seating area for meetings. The existing desk, which was over 40 years old, collapsed during the renovation and was discarded. 2, fire department offices. 4 new desks recently purchased from Villa Park Office Equipment do not adequately meet the space requirements for fire department staff. Staff recommends relocating these desks to the police department sergeant's office, where they will fit perfectly, and purchasing 4 larger desks configured into an L shape for the fire department. The attached quote dated January 16, 2025 and issued by Villa Park Office Equipment for this reconfiguration is approximately $4,700. This additional purchase will improve functionality for both departments. The quotes for these 2 solutions are attached. While funding is available in the Capital Projects Fund for these additional purchases, the costs were not included in the current fiscal year 2024-2025 budget, so the village board may opt to postpone these expenditures and consider including them in the upcoming budget cycle. It should be noted that the quotes for these purchases are valid through January 31, 2025. After this date, pricing will increase by 4% or approximately $520. If the village board concurs with the staff recommendation, the following motions are recommended. Motion 1, motion to waive the competitive purchasing process for the purchase of office furniture and equipment and approve a resolution ratifying the approval of invoices issued by Villa Park Office Equipment for the purchase of certain office equipment for use in Village Hall and authorizing the expenditure of village general corporate funds to pay the invoices.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Trustee Council?
I think that there are great improvements from what I've seen, and I think the functionality will definitely help, considering there are multiple people working in groups, and that seems to be a driving force with the new equipment. So I'm all in favor of it.
Thank you, Trustee Council. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Laudner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Question I have is, what's the lead time on the delivery of these? I mean, is there any question that it's going to be within this budget cycle itself, or is it going to get pushed past the budget cycle?
The delivery time would be approximately 8 weeks from the time of the order.
Okay, so we're kind of bumping up against that anyway, but I think it makes sense to get things in place as soon as possible and to include in spite of the fact it's not budgeted this year, but to get it in place, get things settled as quickly as possible, and then move forward. But in all intents and purposes, it sounds like the invoicing might be in the next cycle anyway, if there's any delays. But I would support moving forward.
Any other comments from any board members? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo? The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Motion number 2 reads as follows. Motion to waive the competitive purchasing process and purchase additional furniture for the village manager's office and the fire services offices with a total cost not to exceed $15,000.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Trustee Council?
I'm all in favor of this as the percentage would go up if we waited until the next fiscal budget year, and I think that we just need to move forward with this. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Laudner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I always like to hear from legal counsel, the village attorney, and no issues with waiving the competitive bid processing.
No issues.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart? Yes. Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I have one more item.
Go ahead, Trustee Council.
Thank you. The administration report for the month of January. The village offices will be closed on Monday, February 17, in observance of President's Day. Regular office hours will resume on Tuesday, February 18 at 9 a.m. Village moving to monthly water billing. Beginning in February, the village will transition to monthly water billing rather than quarterly billing. Monthly billing is consistent with standard practices for utilities, making it easier for households to budget and to allow for earlier detection of water leakage. Please reference the schedule for the transition to monthly billing based on residents' current billing periods on the village's website. No action is required by residents. However, the village encourages residents who have not yet done so to sign up for paperless bills and online payments. Those on autopay will continue to have their payment automatically deducted for each bill. Thank you for your patience and understanding during this transition. The HELP program. The village is once again offering its Help Everyone in Grange Park, also known as HELP, program this winter to connect older adult residents and persons with disabilities with volunteers who are offering snow shoveling services. LaGrange Park residents who request assistance will be provided a list of volunteers who are responsible for contacting volunteers and scheduling their services. Contact Sandy Backledge at the Village Hall to sign up for the program. Volunteer applications and resident request forms are also available on the village's website. And in village news, stay up to date on important local news by signing up for the village's weekly electronic newsletter called e-briefs. It includes updates on construction projects, community events, and more. Visit the village's website to subscribe and follow the village's Facebook page for real-time updates, announcements, and community highlights. Stay informed and connected. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Council. Moving on, Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for December 2024. 26 building permits were issued in December 2024 compared to 47 in December 2023. Reductions were seen across a variety of permit types, with the residential repair permit category having the largest gap. At the end of December 2024, the total number of permits submitted year-to-date was slightly less than year-to-date 2023. Estimated construction costs for the last month were $503,189, which is less than the $1.2+ million that was realized in December 2023. The higher construction costs realized last year can be attributed to Plymouth Place signage, residential sprinkler permits at Kensington Place, and several large residential repair projects. Permit fees collected last month equaled $10,120, which is less than the $24,308 of permit fees collected in December 2023. 113 building inspections were conducted this past month compared to 170 in December 2023. 2 were not approved. 5 new code enforcement cases were recorded in December. 3 were closed out, and the remaining 2 require further code enforcement action. 10 citations addressing village ordinance violations were issued in December 2024. Violations will be resolved through the administrative adjudication process. And that is all I have to report. Thank you.
Trustee Zora, do you mind, can we read November's also? Is that
Sure.
appropriate, please?
November.
I would ask the committee to read both November and December. I know brevity is an issue here, but our staff puts time into these reports, and respectfully, I'd just like to respect them, and you can condense it as much as you like, but I think respectfully we should read both.
Sure.
Thank you.
The building department activities for November 2024, 1555 building permits were issued in November 2024 compared to 73 in November 2023. Quantity variations were seen across all permit types, with reduced activity in interior remodeling, fence, concrete, and occupancy permits. Estimated construction costs for November were just over $1.7 million, which is slightly more than the $1.5 million in November 2023. Permit fees collected in November were just over $34,000, which was consistent with November 2023. 138 building inspections were conducted in November to 180 in November 2023. 7 were not approved. A total of 7 new code enforcement cases were recorded in November. 2 of those projects were closed, and 5 remain and require further code enforcement action. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Moving on, Engineering Capital Projects Committee, Trustee Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the capital projects and engineering report for November 2024. Construction on the Edgewood and Richmond water main project is complete, with the sod having rooted and growing well. The contractor is still working on their review of the final quantities for the project. Construction on the Park Road improvements is complete, inclusive of the placement of sod. The final inspection of the landscape work will be completed in April 2025 to ensure that all sod is completely rooted to the soil, as its placement was done shortly before temperatures would make the grass dormant for the season. There are also a few minor concrete punch list items that also need to be addressed in the spring as well. Construction of the 2024 pavement patching program has been completed, and the work is inspected by the village and found to be acceptable. The contractor working on their final measurements and preparing an invoice for the project. Construction of the 2024 sidewalk program is completed, and the work was inspected and found to be acceptable by the village. The contractor is working on final measurements and preparing an invoice for the project. This is the December report for engineering and capital projects. Construction on the Edgewood and Richmond water main project is complete. We have agreed to final quantities with the contractor. There was an addition of new pay item for a change in the material used to patch the pavement in Richmond west of Edgewood, so it would match the existing pavement cross-section, which requires a change order approved by the village prior to the final pay estimate being prepared. Construction on the Park Road improvements is complete, inclusive of the replacement of sod. The final improvement is pending a spring inspection of sod and minor concrete punch list work. Construction of the green alleys has been completed, and all punch list items have been addressed. The contractor has agreed to final quantities. There was an addition of new pay item for the work associated with the removal of bedrock that was encountered during the placement of the sewer for the project, which requires a change order approval by the village board prior to the final pay estimate being prepared. Work has begun on the preparation of bidding documents for the village's annual sewer-related programs, including the sewer cleaning and video project, the sewer lining project, and the sewer point repair project. All three of these projects have a bidding set for February 2025. Work has begun on the plans and specs for the village's 2025 water main improvement project, which will be focused on the design of water main replacements on Kings Court and Castle Circle. It is anticipated that this work will be out for bid April 2025. And that concludes my reports this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Caputo.
Thank you, President DeCipio. Yes, first of all, I have the police department summary activities through December 2024. And total number of crimes reported in 2024 are approximately 26% lower to those reported in 2023, with 249 reported in 2024 compared to 325 in 2023. Overall, police activity for 2025 ended the year at 12,303 total incidents. Self-initiated officer activity, including building, park, business, and residential checks, is a contributor to the total incidents. Traffic enforcement citation ended the year at 4,982, which indicates, which includes, parking, compliance, local ordinance, and state-issued citations. The police department welcomed Officer Matthew Pinckney to the department. Officer Pinckney attended the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy and is currently in the field training program. The police department staff took part in 4,737 hours of training, either in person or online. Several members of the department became certified instructors on specific topics through the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. This total does include police academy training and field training hours for the new officers. The number of contacts that the police department has had with juvenile offenders in 2024 remains stagnant. The Grange Park Police Department will continue to utilize a multitude of programs throughout the year to assist with juvenile matters. Some of these programs consist of the Youth Outreach Services, the Child Advocacy Center, and Presence Health Care Social Services Division, to name a few. The LaGrange Park Police Department continues to contract a part-time police social worker through Presence Health to assist us in following up with incidents that involve domestic issues, elder care, juvenile runaways, and mental health issues. Many special events and community-based programs will continue in 2025. National Night Out, Shop with a Cop, Coffee with Police Department, and Illinois Special Olympics fundraising events, along with many, many more programs, are eagerly waiting to get going. In 2024, the police department obtained Tier 1 accreditation through the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. The accreditation process was extensive and included an in-depth review of the internal policies and procedures of the department. Thank you to all the staff who assisted with this accreditation. And please follow the police department on our Facebook page at LaGrange Park Police Department, our Twitter account at LaGrange Park PD, and Instagram at LaGrange Park PD. And also a friendly reminder about securing one's personal property at all times. Please lock your vehicle in your residence, especially during the overnight hours. Keep valuables properly secured and out of sight at all times. In addition, please be aware of any scheduled package deliveries. If feasible, please request an in-person delivery, which requires a signature upon dropping off the package, said packages. Okay, so that concludes the police. I have a November, December fire department report and then one other agenda item. For November 2024, EMS incidents this month were 177. There have been 1,758 year-to-date compared to 1,724 year-to-date in 2023. Fire rescue incidents this month were 64. There have been 625 year-to-date compared to 501 year-to-date in 2023. An informational session was held for potential POC firefighter applicants, and 6 interviews were held later in the month for actual applications. All 6 were made conditional employment offers. A meeting of the Foreign Fire Insurance Board was held, approving various purchases, included was the replacement of mattresses in the fire department bunk rooms, which were 12 years old. And a pilot program was tested for a week with staffing Fire Station 1 with an additional personnel during weekday hours based upon having difficulty filling EMS standby slots and increased call volume. Staff met with vendors to discuss planning for a new ambulance purchase. Ambulances are now taking 2 to 3 years to manufacture. And the staff delivered Santa to Ace Hardware for their Christmas open house event. 6 of our probationary personnel completed EMT school, and personnel provided EMS coverage for 2 of the Nazareth Academy football games. A couple items of interest that happened during the month. On Saturday, November 2nd at 5:44 p.m., we sent out a fire investigator to assist Lions with a fire in a commercial building in the 8100 block of Ogden Avenue. And on Wednesday, November 13th at 10:30 p.m., Engine 1221 and Deputy Chief 1201 responded to assist Brookfield with a fire on the 2nd floor of a home in the 9500 block of Lexington. On Sunday, November 17th at 7:24 p.m., Engine 1211 and Chief 1201 responded to assist LaGrange with a fire on the 7th floor of the LaGrange Towers building, the 10-story condominium building at 141 North LaGrange Road. Engine 1211 fed water to the LaGrange engine, feeding the standpipe system, getting water to upper floors, and our 1211 crew assisted in removing various victims from upper floors down to stairways. During the initial stages of the incident, Chief 1201 assisted with helping direct water supply efforts and served as an incident commander. And 2 of our personnel also assisted with the fire investigation. The final event is on November 29th at 4:48 a.m. Engine 1221 and Chief 1201 responded to assist Brookfield with a fully involved garage fire which spread to a boat stored in the neighbor's property. The next report is for December for the firefighters. EMS incidents this month, 187. There have been 1,945 year-to-date compared to 1,881 year-to-date in 2023. Fire rescue incidents this month equaled 74. There have been 702 year-to-date compared to 539 year-to-date in 2023. The fire department provided and delivered Santa to the annual tree lighting ceremony in Memorial Park. A FEMA assistance to firefighter grant was completed and submitted for cardiac monitors, defibrillators, and a power loading system for the stretcher in our secondary ambulance. We conducted another week and variation of the daytime staffing pilot program during the month, and staff and LTACC member fire departments attended a virtual presentation for possible replacement software for our fire records reporting system. Painting was completed, carpet was installed, and furniture was delivered for the 2 remodeled fire department basement offices, thanks to all but especially PMFF Jim Tolf, who did the painting in-house. The Fire Department Foundation hosted the annual Brunch with Santa at Fire Station Number 1. This is a wonderful event for our families and their children. Oh, shoot. Sorry, lost my page. I'm sorry about that. And we had a great turnout. Staff conducted the annual Santa Parade and mobile food drive. Thanks to everyone for the help, especially firefighter and EMT Patrick Reichel, who does most of the overall coordination, the fire department, and the EMT Mike Hughes, who makes the Santa happen, and Madeline Dow, who developed publications for the event and helped get the word out. Food was distributed to Beds Plus and area food pantries. The Fire Department Foundation conducted their annual meeting, which includes an internal audit, and I have 3 items of interest for that month. On Thursday, December 5th at 12:42 p.m., we responded for an SUV that drove through the wall of the Dollar Tree. The driver suffered a minor injury along with one firefighter injured during cleaning up the debris. On Wednesday, December 18th at 8:25 p.m., we responded for a curtain-type heater on fire in the main entrance of Plymouth Place. Damage was limited and firefighters assisted with removing smoke. The last item was Saturday, December 20th at 3:37 p.m. We responded to a significant house fire at 541 North Catherine Avenue. The fire companies knocked down the initial fire fairly quickly, but it took quite a while to extinguish the fire that spread through the walls in the attic. Assistance was provided by neighboring communities through a Mabus box alarm, and Mabus 10 fire investigators responded to help investigate. Unfortunately, the family dog was found deceased in the home. I have one other item sharing with you. It's the training participation agreement. The purpose is to approve a resolution between the Village of LaGrange Park and Adventist Midwest Health, doing business as University of Chicago, Medicine Advent Health LaGrange Hospitals for training purposes. The general background is the LaGrange Park police and fire departments were invited to participate in an active shooter training drill in February. Are invited to participate in an active shooting drill on February 4th, 2025, with multiple neighboring jurisdictions to Adventist Midwest Health, DBA, University of Chicago Medicine, Advent Health LaGrange Hospital. In order to participate in this mock active shooting incident, the hospital is requiring each jurisdiction to involved to sign the training program participation agreement. And the staff recommendation is that the village board approves the attached resolution allowing the LaGrange Park Police and Fire Departments to participate in this drill. This is for discussion and action. The motion is to approve a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of training participation agreement between the Village of LaGrange Park and the Adventist Midwest Health, DBA, University of Chicago Medicine, Advent Health LaGrange Hospital regarding conduct of training exercise.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion, trustee Caputo.
Thank you, President DeCipio. Yes, I'm definitely in favor of this. I think it's great. It's always good to continually have additional training, and it's great to do training of this nature dealing with incidents like the active shooter training, so that if, God forbid, something like this happens, our staff is prepared, knows how to handle the situation. So definitely, I think it's a good cause.
Thank you, trustee Caputo. Chief Contois, any additional comments? Any comments from the board? Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I agree with trustee Caputo. It sounds like a great idea. Just question for chiefs for social media. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of personnel on the compound. There's going to be communication, maybe not so much with us, but LaGrange and Western Springs, so that the media doesn't go goofy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Longer.
Yes.
Trustee Zora.
Yes.
Trustee Council.
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Caputo.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr.
And that
President.
concludes my report.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, trustee Caputo.
Thank you, President DeCipio.
Moving on, Public Works Committee, trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 monthly reports and 2 action items. Public Works for November, staff from LaGrange Park worked with Brookfield to install a flushing hydrant at our shared interconnect at Common and Oak. This will allow either village to flush the connection in case of an emergency without affecting water service to residents. The leaf collection program continued and was finished in December. The first snow event of the year occurred. The staff salted and plowed 91 miles of roadway using 21 tons of salt. The annual Pumpkin Smash was a big event, successful event held at Public Works with the Sustainability Commission. Holiday decorations and lights were installed in 31st Street Business District. Superintendent Jandik attended a leadership summit in Champaign put on by the Isawa. Street patches were completed along with parkway restorations. GIS work continued, collecting data on village-owned assets along with continued training throughout the village. Water meters were read in Section 2. 15 monthly water bacterial samples were taken. Various water and sewer work orders were completed along with resident tree concerns and general construction inquiries. Routine maintenance of the department's fleet and equipment was completed, as well to police and fire vehicles. Okay, for December, Public Works repaired 5 main breaks this month and repaired 1 service leak. The leaf collection program concluded, completing the 3 pickups for in each section. 3 snow and ice events occurred. Staff salted and plowed 280 miles of roadway using 44 tons of salt. Staff also completed 3 anti-ice applications on main roads. DPW participated in the holiday parade and food drive. The tree trimming program was completed on the east side of town. As part of the ADA transition plan, staff participated in the initial meeting for the ADA steering committee. Staff participated in hydrant and valve training, which was conducted by Waterous and American Pipe. The street patches were completed along with pothole repairs. GIS work continued, collecting data on village-owned assets along with continued training throughout the village. Water meters were read in Section 3. 15 monthly bacterial water samples were taken. Various water and sewer work orders were completed along with resident tree concerns and general construction inquiries, and routine maintenance to the department's fleet and equipment was completed, as well to the police and fire vehicles. Action item: Associated Technical Services, Leak Detection Pinpointing Services. The purpose is for staff seeks the village's board authority to approve a not to exceed amount of $35,000 with Associated Technical Services for leak detection services for our water distribution system. General background: for over 30 years, the village has utilized the services of ATS to provide annual leak detection services and emergency pinpointing of water main and service leaks. $24,500 is budgeted for this service in the water distribution fund. During the summer this past season in dry ground, multiple significant main breaks occurred, which required their service more so than in previous years. Due to these occurrences and extremely active winter season, these invoices exceed the village manager's authority. As such, staff requests the village board to approve a not to exceed amount of $35,000 with Associated Technical Service to pay current invoices and for additional services the Public Works Department deems necessary before the end of the fiscal year. The village is on a retainer with ATS, which includes an annual leak survey throughout the entire distribution, pinpointing each leak found, and 3 emergency call-outs per quarter. After the initial 3 call-outs per quarter were exhausted, ATS provided a one-time fee for each additional emergency. Staff recommends that the village board approve a bid waiver to award contract not to exceed amount of $35,000 with American Technical Services based on the following factors. 1, the ability, capacity, and skill of the vendor to promptly perform the contract and provide the services required within the time specified without delay or interference. And 2, the prior experience and the quality and efficiency of the vendor in performing these services. Therefore, Mr. President, I make a motion to approve a waiver of the competitive bid process and award a not to exceed amount of $35,000 for leak detection and pinpoint services with Associated Technical Services.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Grange Park's been keeping this company busy. They've represented well for 30 years. I've got to talk to some of the guys when they're driving the truck and surveying the infrastructure. Talking to Director Ratty, they do a good job. And normally I'm not a big fan of waiving the competitive bid process, but I think this is a good reason too.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Director Ratty, anything additional? Any other comments from the board? Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just confirming the village attorney, no issue with waiving the competitive bid process.
No issue. I discussed this with staff and we presented it this way.
Thank you. I support.
Seeing no other comments, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Lastly, Mr. President, we have the Safe Step LLC approved change order number 1. The purpose: staff seeks the village board's authority to approve an amended vendor proposal for for a not-to-exceed amount of $24,000 with Safe Step LLC for sidewalk grinding work, change order number 1 to original vendor proposal. In general background, the village annually hires contractor Safe Step LLC to evaluate and grind uneven sidewalks in specific areas of town. This year, the village manager approved a proposal for $20,000 to address sidewalks in the area west of LaGrange Road to Brainerd and north of Harding to Jackson. During Safe Step's work in late 2024, staff identified additional safety concerns near the village hall, specifically uneven sidewalks abutting the brick pavers near the flagpole and a curb adjacent to the parking lot with a 3-inch lip presented potential trip hazards. Excuse me. To ensure the safety of visitors to the complex, staff recommended contracting with Safe Step to address these hazards. The cost of the additional work amounted to $3,911.22, bringing the total payments to Safe Step LLC to $23,911.22. As this exceeds the village manager's spending authority, the matter is being brought to the village board for approval tonight. The fiscal year 2024-25 budget includes $24,500 in the motor fuel tax budgeted for sidewalk grinding. Staff recommends that the village board approve a not to exceed amount of $24,000 with Safe Step LLC for sidewalk grinding. Therefore, make a motion to approve an amended vendor proposal for a not to exceed amount of $24,000 with Safe Step LLC for sidewalk grinding work, change order number 1 to original vendor proposal.
Second.
Motion second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. When I was here yesterday, I noticed it looks nice. A lot of dust, but in the name of safety, it all looks nice, and they've done good work in the north part of town and the west part of town, so I approve this, and it's under budget.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Director Reddy, anything additionally? Seeing none, any comments from the board? Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Moving on, Finance Committee, trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the financial report through December of 2024 this evening. Village has completed 8 months or 67% of fiscal year 2025, which began May 1 and concludes April 30, 2025. Detailed revenue and expense report is included. Fiscal year to date, general fund revenue of $7,318,287 is at 62.5% of the annual budget and $298,895 or 4.3% higher than last year. Our property tax receipts are at $74,382 and that's 3.6% greater than last year. Other local taxes are lower by $23,988 and that's 3.2%. primarily due to the timing of cable franchise fee payments. Intergovernmental receipts are up $230,527 or 9.1% from last year. Sales tax and income tax continue to trend higher while use tax and personal property replacement taxes are lower. Licenses and registration fees are at $29.12 or 1.1% lower than last year. Permit receipts are at $105,800 or 27.8% lower than the prior year, and that's due primarily to a large new construction project last year, or actually several projects. Charges for services are at $41.06, and that's 0.6% higher than last year. Fine revenue is at $39,771, and that's 72.3% higher than last year, and that's due to parking and compliance tickets. Miscellaneous revenue is at $82,809, or 26.8% greater than last year due to increased interest income. And total general fund expenditures of $6,844,681 are at 62.5% of the annual budget and $327,713 or 5% greater than last year. And the increase is primarily due to personnel costs, police pension contributions, and paramedic services. And importantly, all departments are within budget expectations at this time. And I have an item for discussion and approval regarding the 2024 property tax abatements. The village annually abates the property tax levy for the 2014 sewer refunding bonds. The original bonds were issued in 2006 to fund sewer infrastructure projects. While the village pays the 2014 bonds with sewer fee revenue, the bonds are secured by an annual property tax levy included in the bond ordinance. The village must direct the Cook County Clerk to abate the property tax each year, or the levy for the bonds will be extended. The village's 2024 property tax also includes a levy for the 2016 road and fire bonds approved by referendum. The levy was included in the bond ordinance when the bonds were issued in 2016. The debt service levy for 2024 is $1,246,000, $1,246,000. And Cook County will add a 5% loss factor to ensure adequate funds are available to pay the debt service. Due to the 5% loss factor from prior years and interest income, the village currently has a balance in the debt service fund above the amount needed for paying principal and interest. And as a result of that, the village board may abate a portion of the 2016 bond levy for 2024. Staff is recommending an abatement amount of $120,000, which along with the loss factor will maintain a sufficient balance in the debt service fund for potential property tax refunds. Staff certainly recommends the village board approve the attached ordinance at the January 28th meeting this evening. So I'd like to submit a motion, Mr. President, and board to motion to approve an ordinance abating the tax hereto levied for the year 2024 to pay the principal of and interest on $3,495,000 general obligation refunding bonds, alternate revenue source, Series 2014 of the Village of Grange Park, Cook County, Illinois.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion, trustee Lautner?
It's a good position and certainly one that we need to approve and move forward with.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
And I have one more motion for consideration. Submit a motion to approve an ordinance abating a portion of the taxes hereto levied for the year 2024 to pay debt service on general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2016 of the Village of Grange Park, Cook County, Illinois.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion, trustee Lautner?
And same situation, certainly support.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Any comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
And that concludes my report and motions from the finance area this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Moving on to other reports, village clerk,
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
our village treasurer, our village engineer, our village attorney.
No report.
And we'll go to Commercial Revitalization Committee, trustee Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the CRC report for this month. Facade and Property Revitalization Program. The village is accepting applications for the Facade and Property Revitalization Program. This program aims to help property and business owners fund improvements to the existing buildings located in the village's TIF and business development districts. Visit the village's website for more information. Branding and Identity Plan. The village is developing a branding and identity plan to enhance Grange Park's sense of place, navigation, and signage. SPAN, the village's consultant, presented a draft streetscape toolkit for feedback at the CRC meeting on January 14th. The final plan will contain detailed specs for streetscape components, graphic standards, and photorealistic renderings. Visit the village's branding and identity plan website for more information. Bite the Burbs. The Grange Park's Happier Now Cafe and Market and Bill's Place are participating in the 2025 Bite the Burbs Restaurant Week, running from January 31st to February 8th. Bite the Burbs is a weekend-long celebration of the art of cooking local foods and the chefs who prepare them. Explore the map of participating restaurants at visitoakpark.com. CRC Committee, our next meeting will take place Tuesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. at Village Hall. Upcoming topics include reviewing the branding and identity plan and discussing upcoming streetscape projects around the Village Market and 31st Street. Businesses and members of the public are invited to attend and provide input on how the village can best support new and existing business and enhance the commercial areas in Grange Park. And I have one item up for discussion and action. Letter agreement for professional services, Phase 1 engineering for LaGrange Road traffic safety improvements. Purpose, staff seeks approval of a letter agreement for professional services for Phase 1 engineering of the LaGrange Road traffic safety improvements with Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. General background, in 2024, the village secured a $175,000 Cook County Invest with Cook grant for Phase 1 preliminary engineering of the LaGrange Road traffic safety improvements. After completing a request for a qualifications process, Kimberly Horn was ranked the first based on objective criteria and staff interviews. Their attached letter agreement proposes a $331,000 lump sum payment to complete the project. The village engineer found the proposal appropriate, well-informed, and conservative. Funds for this project are budgeted in the village TIF district, and the Invest Cook County grant will reimburse up to $175,000 of project cost. Staff recommends approval of the letter agreement with Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc., and the appropriation of Village Market TIF district funds to pay for the preliminary engineering services. Motion for action requested. Motion to approve a resolution approving a letter agreement with Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc. for furnishing of Phase 1 professional engineering services for the LaGrange Road traffic safety improvements project in Grange Park, Illinois, and for the appropriation and expenditure of Village Market tax increment financing district funds to pay for the services.
Motion and second, discussion, trustee Stewart? Sorry.
Sorry. So the 371 lump sum payment, that we have that in the budget independent of the grant, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, thank you for staff for answering the trustee inquiry. And Maggie, thank you so much for taking time out tonight before the meeting to go over my concerns. I just made a couple notes of our conversation. I just want to make sure. Staff, myself, and others have been involved with this for a couple of years. Making the trip to Rep. Ford's office in Chicago, having them take the caravan out here, walk up and down both sides of the street to see what we're looking for. That was with Director Oman Osman and his staff, and then President DeCipio and a couple of the trustees had met with the same group in Springfield a few months later to talk about our concerns. And my concern is I'm being very cautious with this amount because I don't want it to turn into our bridge to nowhere where we just keep throwing money. We don't get any cooperation from IDOT. I understand Kimberly Horn's qualified. I was impressed with the 7 lights that they did for Evanston on IDOT Road. That's good. Maggie, we talked about shovel-ready, number of phases, and total cost. Can you just let the rest of the board and others in attendance know what we talked about, and if I'm forgetting anything too?
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Yes, the village must conduct a Phase 1 preliminary engineering study in order to make any traffic safety improvements on LaGrange Road. So it's a really important step in this process. During this Phase 1, Kimberly Horn would conduct a number of studies that are required by IDOT. They would analyze multiple options for traffic safety improvements. They will advocate for the village's preferred option, and ultimately they will secure approval from IDOT for a PDR, which is a project development report. Now, when this Phase 1 is completed, the village is going to have a defined project blessed by IDOT with which to move forward with into the next phase. And so, Trustee Sheehan, to answer your question, let me pull up my timeline. currently, staff has a tentative schedule for the full length of this project, with preliminary engineering or phase one set to begin this year and conclude mid-2026. At that time, the design engineering can begin in 2026, and we'd be seeking additional grant funding in order to help support the construction engineering and construction costs, which is the bulk of the costs for this project. And we are looking at 2028 as the starting calendar year for that part of the project, for that phase. In terms of the cost per project phase, we had, as you see, the phase one engineering cost has come in at $371,000. Design engineering was estimated at $290,000. And construction engineering was estimated at about $2.5 million, for which we'd be seeking additional grant funding to cover up to 80% of the cost. So if it's an 80-20 split, the cost to the village or the local funds would be about $518,000.
Okay. And then we also discussed too, Kimley Horn will probably put together proposals from, as you put it, from a Cadillac, and maybe at the bottom I would add a Prius. So maybe shoot for something in between. But that would be a couple of proposals, hoping that IDOT bites on at least the best.
Exactly. And we know from meeting with IDOT over the last several years in development of the streetscape plan, there are some improvements at Homestead that they're okay with. We did not get any pushback on those.
Okay.
At Woodlawn, it's tricky, right? Because our context doesn't fit neatly into any of their kind of boxes or warrants for approval. So it's going to be a lot of work for Kimley Horn, but they're the best team, I think, to take us through this process and leave the village with a defined project that meets our priorities for enhanced safety, but also meets IDOT's requirements.
Yeah, at that same visit that I mentioned that we did, the site visit, most of us were there. Chief Magus, you and I talked to Director Osmond, and I mean, that's an intersection, it could be a safety issue with your fire vehicles. So I would hope that, if safety, they would definitely look at that, even though it doesn't fit their box. I would think a fire issue for you and your personnel in our vehicles, would hopefully come up with something. So again, thank you for the information and covering everything. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Any other comments? Yes, Trustee Zora?
I just had one question. This probably is moot, but I just wanted to make sure, because now whenever I see grant, I just want to ask. I know this is not a federal grant, but with the recent federal developments, is this grant affected by that at all, or there shouldn't be any issue with receiving it? Okay.
It's a Cook County grant.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I know it's Cook County, but, okay, thank you.
Trustee Zora, the reason I started with Trustee Stewart, you did second, didn't you? The motion that Trustee Stewart made? Yes, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Zora. Any other comments?
Yes, President.
Yes, Trustee
DeCipio.
Council.
Thank you, President DeCipio. This is directed to AVM JAR. This is an exorbitant amount of money for engineering. I would hope that with this kind of money, Kimley Horn will be able to secure, not just possibly secure, but get the blessing from IDOT, because it seems to me that we've been around this track a lot of times, and not just in recent years, to get traffic slowing down, to get signaling going on, and we haven't gotten anywhere with IDOT. So I would sincerely hope that Kimley Horn would do better than what we've experienced with IDOT over these years, because this is a lot of money for preliminary engineering studies. And it's not a guarantee that IDOT is going to say yes. Am I correct?
Through the phase one study, there will be multiple scenarios or alternatives, design alternatives that are presented, and my understanding is it's somewhat of a negotiation with IDOT. We're asking for the full signal at Woodlawn. We're not sure we'll get that, so we may meet in the middle. But regardless, we'll end this phase 1 study with a defined project for traffic safety improvements on LaGrange Road.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Maggie. Julie, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I guess I have to get used to that. I guess the one area that I would refocus as it relates to this project is the existing crosswalk across LaGrange Road at Homestead. Again, this is an area that IDOT has communicated to us, indicated to us, where they are willing to make some enhancements. And there are some serious safety concerns regarding pedestrian safety at that location. And so I don't know how successful we will be at every checkbox that we have in every desire of the project with IDOT. We've certainly worked our absolute best at every level in making our concerns heard and noticed. But I do know that, like Maggie said, at the end of this process, we're going to have some improvements that we can work off of and develop into the final project plan, that where construction will take place and improvements will be made. And I think it's an important project. So nothing new to say, Mr. President. I just wanted to get back to that existing pedestrian crosswalk where we've spent a lot of time looking at the pedestrian refuge there and the improvements that we want to make just to improve things. That's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Thank you, Julia. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Clarification on the proposed lump sum of $371,000 on this. Is that pay in advance? Is that a phased approach? Is that when it's all done and we have the product that we've signed up for, then we have to pay it at that point? How do you see this rolling out?
That's a good question. It's typically paid as you go. There's a percentage they'll bill you for each phase, kind of as it's being completed. There are certain things that happen way early in the project. It's a long time frame, but you pay as you go. It's based on a percentage of what they've completed at that time.
So does the entire study have to be finished before we go to IDOT, or do we go in phases?
There's stages throughout it.
Okay.
Environmental stuff is submitted way early because it takes IDOT a long time to get through those environmental stages. The traffic study will take some time. There's kind of the whole process is there's a kickoff meeting with IDOT, and then they start going through the preliminary kind of items that IDOT identified that they want to have discussed more thoroughly. There's standard parts that have to be done, but we get a good idea at that kickoff meeting what they want, and then we kind of progress through there. The traffic study at Woodlawn Avenue, we're trying to justify a full signal, so they have to do the full study there, and that's a significant portion of the work involved. Without doing it, IDOT won't consider an approval, so we need to do that complete study at that location.
So is it reasonable to expect that there would be the appropriate terms and conditions that as we go through this, that if we're not happy with what we are seeing or anything significantly changes, that we'd have an opportunity to bail on that with the appropriate verbiage in any contracts?
You always have that kind of in a contract with all engineers. Our standard agreements usually have, you can terminate that contract at any point and you pay for the work that was completed. I think what you'll really run into on this is this phase one is needed for us to do the work. Any geometric changes, any kind of work on LaGrange Road, we'll need to do that in some fashion with IDOT. If we're going to pursue federal funds for this, we actually have to have an approved phase one in our hand because we can't go forward without that done.
Gotcha.
Counsel?
Yeah, I was just going to concur with the engineer. If you get to a point where you're going to abandon the project or terminate the project for whatever reason, the arrangements with, professional engineering firms like this, require you to pay through a termination date for work completed. Possibly there's a profit component that you have to pay in terms of in costs that they've incurred that are already in the queue, but there's always an opportunity to terminate an arrangement like this if you feel like moving forward is not going to be in the best interest of the village or a good use of village resources. Yeah.
Thank you, Council. Any other comments? Yes, Trustee Sheehan?
Maybe as we talked about earlier, and you said you would, so I just for the other trustees and board up here, that printout that I asked you for, if you could send it to us overnight. I don't think we need it tonight, but I found that to be very helpful too. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zor?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Okay, moving on. I just have one item. We all know how precious life is, and on behalf of our residents and village staff and trustees and everyone here in our community, Brook Park is grieving right now for the loss of an 8-9-year-old student over the weekend. So I just want to give our sincere condolences to that community and to the family of this individual for the unnecessary loss of their child. It's just really unfortunate, but we're here to support. Public participation, seeing none, we'll move on to any new business. Did I do that? No. Motion to approve committee and collectors reports as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any new business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Everyone have a great week. Thank you.
Mr. President.